What's up YouTube? This is a new big update, meta defining perhaps. We're going to be looking at Climax of the Showdown, the newest Master Duel pack to come out to Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. Let's look at all the newly added cards. So we got Spright Sprinder. It's a Link 2. Okay, well, I mean, Spright Elf is still in the game. Maybe that means Spright Elf's going to get banned in the next list because now we have this. We'll see. So this card is a Foolish Burial for level 2 monsters, and if you control an XYZ, you can bounce a monster on the field back to the hand. It's cool. It's not as good as Spright Elf, but it is a nice addition to the Spright deck. Next up, we got, new Tri-Brigade stuff. That's kind of interesting. Tri-Brigade Arms, Bystial II. Okay, very strange card. Strange for the reason that you cannot even summon it unless you have 3 or more Tri-Brigade spell or traps in your graveyard. Besides that, as an effect where if a monster attacks you or your opponent, you can banish this card and banish all your opponent's cards. That's kind of powerful, but I think the most important effect is that when it's sent to the graveyard, you can send a Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast from your extra deck to the graveyard. So that actually has really good synergies with a lot of strategies. Despia, Dogmatika, where you just send cards from your extra deck to the graveyard. That's pretty cool. It's an extra Foolish Burial. I kind of like that. Abyss Actors. Whoa, okay. New support. A Link 2. Love to see it. Arrows are pretty good. Let's see what it does. Whoa, that is really interesting, and the best part is it's 2 monsters including a fiend, which means that it doesn't need to be an Abyss Actor specifically. You can run this outside of the Abyss Actor engine. That is kind of incredible. You get a free pendulum monster in your zone every turn, even during your opponent's, or a field spell. That is an interesting pendulum card to mess around with. I know there is one Abyss Actor, I think it's called Curtain Raiser, where it's kind of generic and it's pretty good. You could run 3 copies of Curtain Raiser, 1 copy of this guy, and if you're able to make this guy, you can just special summon a Curtain Raiser from your deck, and it's not like you're really running brick cards, because Curtain Raiser is pretty good into going into Electromite. Definitely an interesting card to see if you can run it in a pendulum strategy. I think it works pretty well. Next up, we got Gigantic Champion Sargas. Wow, what is that? An XYZ8? Not a terribly powerful effect, but a rather interesting one. You can XYZ it on top of a Springan XYZ. Now, Springans have their own dedicated archetype. Are they particularly very good? No, but this is a welcome addition. It might make the deck a little bit better. Besides that, it has an effect where you can just add a Springan or Therion, and Therion's a little bit better than Springans. Card from your deck to your hand, and that doesn't look like it's like a detached material, which means it's just every single one of your turns you could just activate that effect. Kind of decent. Besides that, it does have an effect where if an XYZ is detached from a card, you can destroy a card on the field or return it to the hand. Kind of like the Spright one. So I'm interested to see if Springans is trying to work with the Spright engine, because those 2 cards do have very good synergy. Besides that, we have Wake Up Your Elemental Hero, a new Elemental Hero card. So this fusion is not necessarily the best. I do like that it's generic. I do think that hero decks will be incorporating this card into them simply because it's a generic fusion that you could throw in and it gives you another option. But the effect is not necessarily super good. It does get rid of an opponent's monster, but at the cost of you losing this card. But I think the best part about this card is that when it's destroyed, you can just special summon a warrior monster from your deck. There's a lot of warriors in the game, and being able to special summon any of them that meet the summoning requirements is pretty good, and not even pretty good. It's like straight up broken. So there might be some weird combos using this one card. I'm excited to see if somebody can come up with something very interesting. Maybe an FTK, 1-turn kill. Oh, this is going to be meta defining. Garura, Wings of the Resonant Life. 2 monsters with the same type and attribute but different names. That's not really that hard. Now, when I say that this is going to be a meta-defining card, it's not because of its stats or its on-field effect. It's more for the fact that when it's sent to the graveyard, draw a card. Drawing 1 card doesn't seem like a big deal, but let's be honest, that 1 card can mean the difference between losing or winning. That can be the reason that your bad hand becomes an amazing hand. So this is a very interesting card, especially since you can run it in strategies like Dogmatika, where you can just send it from the extra deck to the graveyard, get a free card, or even other strategies where you just send stuff from your extra deck to the graveyard. I'm thinking maybe a little bit of Tri-Brigade. Definitely a cool card, and also it kind of works as a weird super poly target, so it's not completely useless if you are running super poly in your deck, because this card may even come up. Next card, Granguignol, the Dusk Dragon. Okay, that sounds kind of cool. Requires a Blaze, Castoria, the Virtuous, and a light or dark monster. Okay, sounding like Despia here. Okay, let me get this straight. It's a Foolish Burial for level 6 or higher monsters. Also, you can special summon a Dogmatika or Despia monster from your extra deck. Depending on how good Blazing Castoria the Virtuous is, this card might be extremely splashable in some decks. It's a pretty cool card. I'm interested to see what else there is. Rindbrumm, the Striking Dragon. I think this is a rather new card, and let me just say straight off the bat, it's scary, very scary. So if your opponent activates any monster pretty much summoned from the extra deck, you can negate that monster's effect, and then you can bounce that monster or any monster on the field to the hand, even your own. But besides that, if this card's in your graveyard, you can just bring it back. If you have a Fallen of Albaz in your graveyard, you either special summon a Fallen of Albaz, so you can just fusion like during your opponent's turn using their monsters, or you can bring this guy back and he's just another negate. I mean, and it works with the deck too. There is a Tri-Brigade card that adds Fallen of Albaz from your deck to your hand. This card has very good synergy in that deck. It's a welcome addition. It's gonna be run. That is a little bit scary. I need to pick this up. That's a good one. Next card. Dogmatika Alba Zoa. Whoa, he looks kind of sinister. That looks sick. 4,000, 4,000. What does he do? So not only is this guy just a big beater, he also makes all your Dogmatika monsters unaffected by opponent's extra deck monsters. But besides that, he also has an on-field effect that you can use every single main phase of yours, where your opponent just sends cards from their hand or their extra deck to the graveyard, or you just bounce everything that's, or your opponent just bounces and returns every extra deck card that they have back to their extra deck. Not necessarily the best Dogmatika card, but it's definitely a contender, and it is going to see some play in a Dogmatika ritual deck. That is for sure. That is incredible. This is going to be the one that I think everybody's going to want, especially since it's already been limited to one preemptively. Bystial Magnamhut. Yeah, this is a scary card. So it's like you can banish a light or dark in either player's graveyard, even your own. You special summon this guy. It's a quick effect if your opponent controls a monster, so that's pretty incredible there. And then also when it's special summoned, I think it's during the end phase, you can add a dragon monster from your deck or graveyard. The Bystials are dragons, so you can just add another Bystial if you're running more of them. But besides that, it's incredibly powerful because of its high stat line. It's a 25 that can special summon, and you can also banish your own lighter darks. The reason that you would want to banish your own lighter darks is perhaps if you have a Thunder Dragon deck. This is an excellent addition in Thunder Dragons, especially since it's a level 6 and it synergizes with the Thunder Dragons. You can also banish your own Thunder Dragons, get their effects to pop off. You can do this during either player's turn, but that's just one deck example. This card is so incredibly powerful because the strongest decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Are either light or dark. And this card essentially says, hey, you have a powerful card in your graveyard that you need. Nah, not anymore. I'm going to get rid of that powerful card. I'm going to summon my own monster, and that monster is going to replace himself with another dragon. I need him. I need him. You need him. He's incredibly powerful. Hopefully gets banned in the future. Not entirely sure, but it is very powerful. Next up, we got Bystial Lubellion. I think the best part about this card is that you could special summon it from your graveyard. You do need to tribute a level 6 or higher dark dragon, but the Bystials are all dark dragons and they're level 6 or higher, so it's easy to fulfill that cost. Besides that, if it's in your hand, you can just send it from your hand to the graveyard, add a Bystial straight up, which is incredible because you can send it from your hand to the graveyard and then you can just special summon it from your graveyard, and then it has a main phase effect where you can search your deck for a Brandis continuous spell or trap. It has a lot of effects built in. The stats aren't bad at all. It's just powerful, especially since it's a hand effect. You can just discard it, add a Bystial from your deck to your hand. Well, what are you going to search out? Probably Magnamhut or what we're going to be seeing a little bit later. Next up, we have Blazing Cartesia, the Virtuous. So this is the monster that's required to fusion summon Granguignol, the Dusk Dragon. So what does she do? You can fusion summon during your opponent's main phase, which is incredibly powerful because there are cards like Guardian Chimera where you can just pop cards your opponent controls, and now you can do that whenever you want. And it's a tuner, which means that you have access to synchros And during the end phase, it just comes back to your hand if a fusion monster is sent to your graveyard, which is really easy in the branded Despia deck. That is crazy. So not only is the monster good, but the fusion is good. Oh, wow. Okay, well, what else do we got? We got a Springan reprint. We got Mereologic Aggregator. What is this? It's an XYZ 9, and it allows you to Foolish Burial a card from your extra deck, essentially just sending a card from your extra deck to the graveyard. Besides that, it has a rather interesting effect where you can attach monsters from your graveyard to this guy as material. The reason that would be good is, let's say you do have a monster that, oh, when this card is sent to the graveyard, draw a card. Or there is Herald of Arclight, where it's, when it's sent to the graveyard, add a ritual spell or ritual monster. Essentially, this guy just says, okay, well, I got my search off, now I'm going to reattach those cards to this guy, and then if this guy goes to the graveyard, you get those effects again. Also, he has an additional effect that when he's sent to the graveyard himself, you can target a face-up card on the field and negate its effects. So he also works well with cards that send cards from the extra deck. If you do summon this guy and you have 2 of them, you could send another one from your extra deck to the graveyard, and then you can proc the face-up card effect negation. Definitely a very decent card. It gives you a lot of versatility. It's very useful in strategies where you're filling up your graveyard with cards like, oh, when this monster is sent to the graveyard, do this. Because then you can just reuse those effects by reattaching them to this guy. It's interesting. I'm glad it's in the game. Next up, we got Wollow, Founder of the Drug Dragons. It acts as sort of like a graveyard punishment card, where if your opponent has something in their graveyard that you don't necessarily want there, you could just shuffle it back to their deck, or you could special summon it. Both the effects aren't necessarily bad, it's just the card is missing that very powerful effect that like kind of puts it over the edge or makes it like kind of meta defining. It's a decent card, I'm glad it's in the game, but I feel like this could have been a rare or common. Next up, there's an Elemental Hero reprint. Oh, that's nice to see. Armed Neos. The effect isn't super impressive. Yeah, you do get to destroy opponent's monsters if the dragon you target in your graveyard has a higher level than their monsters, but that doesn't mean it destroys XYZs or Lynx. Those are still staying on the field. And then also, if it destroys a monster by battle, I think this is a way better effect. It gets the effect where you contribute it during the main phase. It's a quick effect, even during your opponent's turn. Special summon an Elemental Hero fusion monster, ignoring its summoning conditions. That means you can bring out the biggest, the baddest fusion Elemental Hero monsters in the game for free, just by tributing this guy. So not necessarily a bad card, just, you know, not necessarily super good. It's missing one more effect that makes it like powerful, like maybe cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. Then it would just be like over the edge. Alright, another Bystial. These are going to be important because you're going to be seeing a lot of these in competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Bystial Saronir. So it has the same effect as Bystial Magnamhut. So if there's a Light or Dark in the graveyard and your opponent controls a monster, it's a quick effect. You can banish that card in the graveyard, and then you can special summon this guy. The only difference is that when this one is sent to the graveyard, you can send a Bystial monster or branded spell or trap from your deck to the graveyard. I think sending a branded spell or trap is a little bit better, because the branded traps specifically have effects where, oh, you can banish it from your graveyard and do something. So it's a little bit more useful in that deck. Besides that, we have Bystial Druiswurm, limited 1 already. Let's see what it does. It has the effect where banish a Light or Dark in a graveyard, special summon this card. This one does have the effect though. When it's sent from the field to the graveyard, you can just target a special summon monster your opponent controls, send it to the graveyard. So it's straight up removal. The stats aren't bad either. It's just, oh man, Thunder Dragon's got a little bit more powerful. It's kind of good, I guess. Next up, we have the Bystial Alba Los. What is this? It just negates everything on the extra deck on the field, even your own. It has an interesting effect where if it leaves the field because of an opponent's card, you banish both players' extra decks face up. Only until the end of your opponent's end phase, but that essentially just makes it so the extra deck is not in the game until the opponent's end phase, and then both players get it back. Very weird, very weird card. The stats are amazing, the effect isn't bad. It's not a bad card, I would say. I think you could try running it in Bystials. The only problem is that you're not consistently going to be able to bring it out, because Magnamhut is at 1 and Druiswurm is at 1. So yeah, that kind of does suck. But we also got Bystial Baldrake. Banish a Light or Dark in the graveyard, special summon this card. Also, if your opponent special summons a monster from the extra deck, you can tribute another Light or Dark, so you can't tribute itself, but you can tribute another one, and then you can target whatever was special summon and banish it. It's straight up removal. It might be played quite a bit. It's kind of annoying, I'm not gonna lie. But it's definitely not as good as the ones that were limited to 1, that's for sure. Hey, look at this cute card. Kittytail, Mystical Beast of the Forest. Oh, level 2 beast support. Alright, what do you do? When it's normal or special summon, you can Foolish Burial a beast, beast warrior, wing beast, insect, or plant. Interesting that you can send an insect or a plant, but there are definitely a lot of really good targets that you can send from your deck to the graveyard with this one card. Also, when it's destroyed, you can add, it doesn't even specify a level, it just says beast, beast warrior, wing beast, insect, or plant monster from your deck to your hand. That is crazy because you can add so many cards in the game with this one card. What is that? A reprint for Abyss Actor spell card, and then we got Branded Regained. So it's funny that this is called a branded card because it's more of a bestial card if anything. If a light or dark is banished, put it at the bottom of the deck, draw a card, decent effect. I think the more important one is if your opponent literally just plays a game, they normal or special summon a monster, you can target a bestial in your graveyard, special summon it. That's a kind of cool effect. What else we got? Tally-ho, Springans. Oh, Springans got a new spell card. You can just search your deck for a Springan card. It's a quick play. You don't necessarily need to detach materials from monsters you control, but if you do, you can special summon Springan monsters from your hand or graveyard up to the number of materials you detached. I don't like that you cannot use the graveyard effect and the search effect on the same turn. It says you can only use one of the effects per turn. That is a little lame. I think that little bit of more power would have made Springans a little bit more better, because then you could just activate the card and then you could just activate it again in your graveyard and then you could just set it for your opponent's turn. But you can't do that combo anymore. It's a decent card, but Springans aren't very good to begin with. I do like that they're getting support, but this is just like, come on, man. Like, you nerfed a card that they really needed. That's kind of lame. All right, next card, Dogmatikamatrix. When it's activated, you can add a Dogmatika ritual or ritual spell from your deck to your hand. Then if your opponent controls a monster, you can add one Dogmatika card from your deck to your hand. Really good card in Dogmatika Ritual. If it's activated, you can search your deck for a ritual monster or a ritual spell that has Dogmatika. And then if your opponent controls a monster, you get an additional search of just a Dogmatika card in general. The crazier part is that once per turn, if you control a Dogmatika ritual monster, which you're probably going to be doing if you're playing a Dogmatika ritual deck, you can look at either player's extra deck, even your own, and just send one monster from it. What card could you send that's pretty free? I don't know, Garura, where you just get a free card. So yeah, that is a very good card in the Dogmatika deck. Next up we have Abyss Actor Dress Rehearsal. This is a new spell. This card's not that good. You can only use it at the start of your main phase 1, which means that if you draw into it during your main phase 1 or your main phase 2, you can't even use it until your next turn. It does add 2 cards, which is pretty powerful. One card that adds 2 means that you gain advantage, but it also locks you out of pendulum summoning monsters except for Abyss Actors, so it's only really good in a pure Abyss Actor deck. And besides that, why is it a super rare? This should have been a rare or common. I feel bad for Abyss Actor players because they're going to need this card for their deck that's not really competitive, it's just a fun deck, and you kind of got screwed because it's a super rare. So I mean, that kind of sucks. I feel bad for you. Branded Befallen. It's a trap continuous. Again, this should be called a Bystial. Again, this should be called Bystial Befallen, not branded. But yeah, it's just a Bystial support card. If your opponent activates a card that targets one monster you control, that's a Bystial. Or if they activate a card in response to your Bystial monster's effect, you can just target a light or dark in the graveyard, banish it, and negate that effect. It's okay. It's alright. It's alright. I mean, it does something, but it's not necessarily super good. What is this? Wish Dragon? It's a rare. Yeah, I mean, it's not the worst, but come on, man. You didn't need to nerf it. Just let it be. Next up, we got a Laughing Puffin. Whoa, it's so cute. You can special summon it if you control a face-up spell or trap. You can bounce a face-up spell or trap that's on the field, you or your opponent's, back to the hand. And if you control a winged beast, it counts as a quick effect. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I'm glad it's in the game. It might be used in some strategies that utilize spell or traps that are very powerful. Maybe you get an additional search from Tenki. I don't know. It's an interesting card. Next up, we got Adularia, the June Moon. So it works well in a deck that has face-up spell or traps. I think that also includes pendulums. And essentially, you can just send 2 face-up cards in your spell and trap zone to the graveyard, and then you can just Foolish Burial a level 4 lower monster from your deck. I don't necessarily think it's too powerful, especially since you need to send 2 face-up cards. So your chances of having actually 2 on your field are lower than if it was like 1. Specify a specific monster, it just says literally level 4 or lower. So it might be used in some strategies. Oh, Fierce Tiger Monghu. Looks cool. All other monsters on the field lose 500 attack. Once returned during the main phase, you can destroy all monsters on the field with less attack than this card. I think it's a fun card. Not necessarily anti-meta or stunny. I think it's just a fun card that you might play with your friends who are like new to Yu-Gi-Oh! This is a cool new fun card. I think it's nice. Next up we have Decisive Battle of Golgonda. What does that mean? Okay. It literally just protects your cards from destruction or battle. What? That is so powerful. And also it works in Springans, strange enough, where you could just special summon a Springan from your hand or deck during the end phase. I mean, it's a Tri-Brigade spell that you can search out that's kind of decent. You add back your banished Tri-Brigade to your hand, and then after damage calculation, if you battle an opponent's monster, you can just bounce it. You can just return it back to the hand. Decent. Not super good, but it's decent. The Light of the Branded. It's a quick play spell card, which means that you can set it down and activate it during your opponent's turn. It's really good against fusion strategy, so if your opponent's playing a fusion deck, whether it be Elemental Hero, Branded, or whatever, you can return their fusion monster to their deck, and yeah, you can special summon a Fallen of Abaz if you're playing him from your graveyard, and then also an opponent's monster from their graveyard. I think it's a cool card, not necessarily super powerful. I think it's more of a side deck option, which means that if you're playing in like a tournament in Master Duel, this would be an option to consider against a fusion deck if you're playing Despia. Next up we have Abyss Script Dramatic Story. Target an Abyss Actor Pendulum you control, special summon 1 from your deck, and then you place the one that you targeted as a pendulum scale, or you can destroy it so it goes to your extra deck. Also, that this card is set, which I don't really truly understand. I think the Abyss Scripts cards, the Abyss Actor spell cards, have these effects where if it's destroyed, you can do something. This one has the effect where if you have an Abyss Actor in your extra deck, you can just return 2 cards on the field to the hand. I definitely think this is a way better card than what? Dress Rehearsal? This card should have been a rare. This card should have been a super rare. This card's way better. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. We got Branded Beast. Next card. Continuous Trap. During the main phase, if you control Bystial, you contribute 1 Dragon Monster, target 1 card your opponent controls, destroy it. That's decent. Very decent. But it's only during the main phase. It's not like you can use it during the battle phase, during the end phase, during the standby phase. It's only during the main phase. During the end phase, you can target 1 branded continuous spell in your graveyard, place it face up on the field. Whoa, and you can just recycle your effects, huh? Okay, that last effect is really interesting. And not a bad card, pretty interesting, but yeah, I mean, you need a Bystial monster in order for it to actually work. Next up, we got Spright Double Cross, a new Spright Trap. Attach that targeted monster to a rank 2 monster you control as material. Place the targeted monster your opponent controls in a zone of your... You take... Wait, what? You take control of their monster? Okay, what else? Special summon the targeted monster from either graveyard to a zone a link 2 monster you control points to. Why did Spright just get one of the most powerful traps and it's only a rare? It's only a rare. This trap just is so good. This trap is so freaking good, it's not even funny. That is amazing. Okay, we got Protection of the Elements. It's a counter trap. When a spell or trap is activated, you can banish 1 face-up elemental hero you control until the end phase, negate the activation. Wow, that's amazing. If you do, destroy that card. If you control an elemental hero, Terra Firma. You can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon 1 elemental hero that is banished in your hand or graveyard, ignoring its summoning conditions. Who the heck is Terra Firma? I don't know what that is, but having a counter trap that can negate any spell or trap is pretty decent, especially since you don't really lose your elemental hero monster, you just banish it until the end phase. That's a rather interesting card. I wonder if elemental hero players will actually incorporate that into their deck. Next up, we got Silent Wolf Kalupo. It looks pretty cool. A wolf in a suit. When it's normal or special summon, you can equip the top card of your deck to discard as a face down equip card and it gains 500 attack. During the end phase, your opponent calls the original type monster, spell, or trap of the equip card equipped to discard. If they call it right, send this card to the graveyard. If they call it wrong, discard 1 random card from your... If you do, return this card. Whoa. Whoa. You can make your opponent discard a card. Making your opponent discard a card is very good in Yu-Gi-Oh! This is such a weird card, right? Because it's like, oh, it's not good. It's only 1400 attack, and it only goes up to 1900. Yeah, but you have the potential to make your opponent discard a card. That is huge. That is very huge. I don't necessarily know how good this card is going to be, but as for a generic card that you can just run like a fun card, that is a definitely good fun card. Next up, we got Manicore of the Smashing. I haven't seen Manicore in like years, since like when Blackluster Soldier came out. During your main phase, you can add one Fissure or Smashing Ground from your deck to your hand. If this card's in your graveyard, you can banish one Fissure or Smashing Ground from your hand or graveyard, special summon this card. This is another fun card! Konami, you're doing great. I love to see these fun cards. Are you going to see Fissure or Smashing Ground in competitive top tier level Yu-Gi-Oh? No, you're not. But in Playground Yu-Gi-Oh or in Yu-Gi-Oh against people who don't really know what they're doing, this is super good. This is super good for the game. It's healthy. People can play with the old school cards. They can have fun. This is a good card. The Wolf, the Manicore, and where was the other one? It was the Fierce Tiger. These are fun cards. Konami should keep making these fun cards. They're really, really good. Next up, we have Abyss Actor, Liberty Dramatist. Very weird card. It's only very good if it's in a pendulum scale and a monster declares an attack, whether it be you or your opponent. Discard a card, special summon it to your opponent's side of the field, and then when it's special summon, you just look through your deck for 3 Abyss Actor cards. You don't even get to choose which one. It's randomly picked. And it's not good. I hate to say it, Abyss Actor players, it's not good. This is the final card of the pack list, Gigantic Thundercross. Target a number of monsters on the field or in the graveyard equal to the difference between your banished cards and your opponent's. Banish them. Then your opponent can special summon one monster from... Oh my gosh, no! Whoa! I was about to say, like, whoa, this card's kind of good. You get to banish cards on the field? That's amazing. And then I read the part where they can just special summon one monster from your deck. No thanks. I'm not trying to get my opponent the most important monster in their deck for free. That just sounds like a pass. But yeah, this isn't the end of the video. I have 1,000 gems. We're going to be opening up 10 packs. And let's see what we pull. And it looks like we actually pulled kind of decent here. I think the main things I'm looking for are the Bystial stuff and the new like Dogmatika stuff. All right, let's see. Our first ultra rare is... Oh, yes! Okay, I was actually looking for that one because he's going to be used in my Fall of Albaz deck, so that's cool. New video may be coming. 2 of them! I mean, yeah, I was only going to run 1, but now I can run 2. Pretty cool. Nothing in pack number 2, and nothing in pack number 3. Alright, well, pack number 4, a little bit of gold shine. Maybe we get something really good, you know? Oh, no shine. Oh, no. Oh, there's some. Branded Regained. No, don't really care about that. That's more of a Bystial card. Elemental Hero Neos Ilias. Oh no. I mean, it is what it is. I guess we got him. Alright, pack number 6. A Springan card. Well, I mean, if I do have enough Springans, I will test the deck out because their new support's pretty interesting, but that's only if I pull a lot of them. Okay, we got 1 shake for pack number 7. Oh, it's the new XYZ. Not necessarily bad, especially since you can just run it in your extra deck, and when you send it, you can negate a card on the field. Okay, nothing in pack number 8. Alright, pack number 9. I don't think we've gotten an ultra rare, right? Ah, okay, alright. You know what? Yeah, thank you. It's about time. Looking for the Bystial stuff mainly. I just want the Bystials. Those are going to be the most important. Let's see. Hopefully we pull the good Bystial. What? It is! Magnamhut! Let's go! It's limited to 1, but we only need 1. So, final pack of Destiny, pack number 10. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any comments or questions, any of your thoughts, feel free to leave them down below. I love hearing the thoughts from the community. And we got another Magnamhut, and it's shiny. And we got a Druiswurm. Whoa. Okay, I don't know if I necessarily want to of this guy, but it is what it is. Anyways, my name is Cushy Kush. I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, or subscribe if you're not already. I hope you have a great day or night, and maybe I'll catch you next time. See ya.